Ever since I was a child, I have had a bizarre biting fixation. Ross, my childhood best friend, was the only one who knew, and he willingly offered himself up to satisfy my cravings. When we were little, it was his wrists. As we grew older, my teeth migrated to his shoulders and his neck. Don't you think he absolutely detests this? The cold, mechanical voice echoed in my head just as I pulled back from Ross's shoulder. Look at how tightly his brow is furrowed, how fast his breathing is. He looks like he's about to cry. I looked down. Ross's eyelashes were damp. He kept his head lowered, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of his jeans. He's practically dying of revulsion from your drool. Yet he still hasn't pushed you away. The male lead is way too nice. It turned out my childhood best friend was the male lead of some story. And the female lead wasn't me. If you don't kick this biting habit soon, just wait until the fated female lead transfers here. You'll have nothing left. So I resolved to break the habit Ross had enabled for over a decade. When the craving hit me like a physical wave, my desk mate Mary kindly offered her forearm. Don't hold it in, Mary whispered.
Just bite me.
I was just about to lean in when I caught sight of Ross standing a few yards away, his face deathly pale. Ross froze. His eyes locked on Mary's outstretched arm, then shifted to me. Mary noticed him almost immediately. Instead of snatching her arm back, she simply smiled. You scared me, she said. You've been standing there forever. Ross's lips parted. What are you doing? Mary blinked. Helping. You don't have to. I know. She looked at me instead. You've been clenching your jaw all afternoon. I instinctively covered my mouth. I am fine. No, you're not. The craving pulsed beneath my skin, making my teeth ache. Ross took one step forward. I'll do it. I shook my head so hard my hair whipped across my face.
No.
His expression cracked. For years. I know. I said I didn't mind. I know. My voice came out quieter than I'd expected. But I remembered the voice. Look at how tightly his brow is furrowed. He's practically dying of revulsion. For the first time, I looked at Ross instead of my craving. There were tiny crescent marks dug into his palms from how tightly he was clenching his fists. His shoulders were tense. His smile, always patient, always reassuring, was nowhere to be found. Did I make you miserable? Ross looked stunned. What? I've never asked. I always assumed. Silence stretched between us. Finally, Ross rubbed the back of his neck. Sometimes it hurt. Every word landed like a stone. Sometimes I'd dread when you'd look at me with that expression. But then you'd look so frustrated trying to stop yourself. So I thought, if I just let you, maybe it'd make things easier. The guilt nearly swallowed me whole. I'm sorry. Ross looked startled. You've never apologized before. Because I've never realized before. Mary quietly lowered her arm. Neither of us noticed until she spoke. Can I say something? We both turned. She rested her chin on her hand, looking more curious than judgmental. You two have a weird friendship. Ross let out an awkward laugh. That's one way to put it.
No.
Mary shook her head. I mean, you spend all your time trying not to hurt each other. Neither of us answered. Mary continued. You bite because you're scared of bothering people. You let her bite because you're scared of disappointing people. She pointed between us. You're solving different problems with the same unhealthy solution. The hallway became eerily quiet. Ross stared at the floor. She's right. I laughed weakly. When did my desk mate become a therapist? Mary grinned. I watch a lot of psychology videos.
Despite everything, I laughed.
Ross laughed too. The suffocating tension finally eased. Over the next few weeks, I kept my promise. Whenever the craving hit, I didn't reach for Ross. Instead, I chewed mint gum. I bit silicone chew jewelry Mary had secretly ordered online. Sometimes I squeezed a stress ball until my fingers hurt. It wasn't perfect. There were days I failed. But Ross was no longer my first instinct. One afternoon, after school, Mary leaned against my desk. You've been doing really well. I still think about it. Thinking isn't failing. She handed me a strawberry lollipop. Here. You carry candy now? I started after meeting you. For me? She shrugged casually. Maybe. Heat crept into my cheeks. One rainy afternoon, the craving hit harder than ever. I hadn't slept. I'd failed a math test. Everything felt wrong. Without thinking, I grabbed Mary's sleeve. She looked up from her notebook. Bad. I nodded miserably. Really bad. She studied me for a moment. Then, instead of offering her arm this time, she gently took my hand. Come with me. She led me outside beneath the covered walkway, where the rain drummed against the roof. The cool air eased the pressure in my head. Mary reached into her backpack. I upgraded. She pulled out a silicone teething necklace shaped like a little cloud. I figured this was safer than sacrificing my arm every week. I stared. You bought this? You hated the plain ones. So, I found a cute one. Something inside me softened. No one had ever tried to understand the craving itself. Everyone else either endured it or feared it. Mary simply adapted with me. You don't think I'm weird? Oh, definitely weird. She laughed. But weird isn't bad. I laughed too. You're weird. I know. And yet you're still hanging around. Unfortunately for you, the rain hid how warm my face had become. Months passed. The cravings became easier to manage. Not gone. Just quieter. One evening, Ross caught up to us outside school. He looked between Mary and me. You two are close. Mary naturally reached for my hand. Neither of us seemed to notice until Ross smiled. A real smile. Not the strained one he'd worn for years. I'm glad. I tilted my head. Glad? You smile more now. I blinked. I didn't realize. You laugh more, too. He looked at Mary. Thank you. Mary scratched her cheek, suddenly embarrassed. I didn't really do anything. You did. Ross chuckled. You taught her she didn't have to carry everything by herself. He looked at me one last time. I think you don't need me to keep protecting you anymore. For the first time in years, there wasn't sadness between us. Just relief. We hugged. A simple goodbye to the strange habit that had defined our childhood. After that day, Ross became exactly what he'd always been meant to be. My best friend. Nothing more. As Mary and I walked home together, our hands brushed, then stayed together. She glanced sideways at me. So, if I hold your hand, does that count as helping with your fixation? I smiled. It does. Really?
Yeah.
Because now, I intertwined our fingers. When I want to bite something, I'd rather just hold your hand instead. Mary's ears turned bright red. That's unbelievably cheesy. You like cheesy. I really do. She squeezed my hand, and for the first time since I was a child, the ache in my teeth didn't feel impossible to bear. Because I had finally found someone who didn't encourage my worst habit. She helped me outgrow it. And somewhere along the way, I fell hopelessly in love with her. Dating Mary turned out to be unexpected. Not because she was difficult, because she was competitive. 7. Mary looked unbearably pleased with herself. I blinked. 7 what? She proudly held up her notebook. 7 days. You haven't tried to bite a person in 7 whole days. She had made a chart, a color-coded chart. There were gold stars. You're tracking me? I'm celebrating you. Those are different words. They're emotionally the same. I couldn't help laughing. You are such a dork. I have documentation proving you're the bigger weirdo. She tapped the notebook triumphantly. Page 43. You've been recording this for 43 pages? She celebrated every little milestone. 10 days earned me homemade cookies. 2 weeks meant a movie date. 1 month earned me a tiny plush shark. It has little teeth, Mary explained. So now something else can do the biting. The plush shark became my emotional support shark. I refused to admit how attached I'd become to it. Ross watched all of this with open amusement. I can't believe someone voluntarily dates you. I gasped dramatically. What is that supposed to mean? It means she deserves a medal. Mary nodded seriously.
You accept medals.
I pointed accusingly between them. You're both bullying me. It's called affection, Ross replied. It feels suspiciously like bullying. It can be both. One afternoon, Mary invited me to her house. I baked. Those 2 words should have been a warning. The kitchen looked like a flour bomb had exploded. There was batter on the cabinets. Chocolate on the ceiling somehow. One oven mitt was lying in the sink. Mary. Yes.
How?
I got enthusiastic. She proudly presented a tray of cookies. Most of them were shaped like blobs. One vaguely resembled a turtle. I made bite-sized cookies. I stared. You made them because of me. They're safer than classmates. I laughed so hard I nearly cried. They're hideous. They're delicious. They look haunted. They're haunted by love. I burst into another fit of laughter. Later that evening we curled up on her couch. She rested against my shoulder while we watched a terrible horror movie. Halfway through, she suddenly paused it. Can I ask something, MH? Were you scared I'd think you were gross? I looked down. A little. She reached over and poked my forehead. I've literally seen you accidentally chew through 3 silicone necklaces. Don't remind me. I've watched you glare at a gummy bear because it wasn't chewy enough.
Mary.
I've witnessed you nearly cry because someone confiscated your chewing gum during an exam. Please stop. And somehow, she smiled softly. You're still the cutest girl I've ever met. Heat flooded my face. I don't know how to respond to that. You could kiss me. That's a very persuasive argument.
She grinned.
I know. I leaned over and kissed her. It was slow,
Warm.
comfortable. When we finally pulled apart, Mary looked impossibly smug. I win. There wasn't a competition. There always is. You are impossible. And yet, she bumped her forehead against mine. You're smiling. I blame you. I'll happily accept responsibility. I looked at her for a long moment. Months ago, I believed I needed someone willing to endure my worst habit. Mary had shown me something entirely different. Love wasn't quietly suffering through someone else's problems. It was standing beside them while they learned to overcome them and making them laugh on the hard days. I reached for her hand. She squeezed it immediately. No biting.
She teased.
I smiled. No biting. Progress. The best kind. Outside, rain tapped gently against the windows. Inside, wrapped in a blanket with my girlfriend stealing the last cookie from the plate, I realized something. The strange craving that had once defined my life no longer felt like the center of who I was. Now, when I thought about the future, the first thing that came to mind wasn't teeth. It was Mary smiling back at me.